Last element I need to teach you about forecasting is what we call the seasonal adjustment or the seasonal index. Uh, it doesn't really matter which technique you use, whether it is the more complex technique of regression, associated forecasting, or trend projection, exponential smoothing, naive, simple, the moving average, the weighted moving average. You make your forecast and then you adjust based on what you know about seasons. And so I pulled data from problem 4.27. You're assigned in your homework 4.28. The key is to set it up kind of this way to group all of the winter quarters together, all of your spring, summer, and fall. In your homework problem, you actually just have 3 years worth of data, '05, '06, '07. 4.27 is already kind of organized for you. Basically, we have uh, 4 data points for each of these seasons, and these are the typical seasons, but they don't have to be. Remember, we talked about they could be days of the week, they could be times of the day, whatever the case may be, but you need multiple data points for each one of your seasons. And so the first thing you got to do is figure out the average for each one of those seasons. So in this case, that's what we're going to do. So I want to know what the average is for winter, or the average for this particular day, or the average for this particular time of day. So we figure out the average for each of our seasons. I can just copy this down here. So I'm going to copy it down. We'll double check that it's doing it correctly. It's averaging those. Then the next thing you need to do is figure out what the overall average is for everything. So we have our seasonal average. Now I want to know what the overall average is. So the overall average is everything. So what's the average if I don't worry about seasons? So I'm going to average all of these numbers together. And that's what I'm going to put down here. Now I don't want to copy this down because it will move. I'm just going to type in then what I know to be the overall average for each of those. So now to do the seasonal index, it's pretty straightforward. All you're going to do is take um, your seasonal average and divide it by your overall average. And then we can copy this down here, double checking that it did it correctly. So once again, the seasonal average divided by the overall average. Now, what this should tell you is that a 1 means that basically this is just your average season. If it's greater than 1, it means that that particular season does better than average. If it's below 1, it does worse than average. Now this is sailboats. So out of this, it looks like fall, that season is our worst season. So it's not even hitting average, it's well below average, 0.5. Winter is approaching average, but spring and summer are above average, with summer being our highest for sailboat. So what we would do is we'd simply do the forecast with whatever technique we use, and then if it was a winter forecast, for one of the winter months we were doing a forecast, we would multiply that forecast by 0.9, so we would reduce that forecast by 10%. In these cases, we would increase the forecast by 40%. So we multiply our forecast by 1.4, which would be a 40% increase onto our forecast. This one, we would only use half of our forecast because we would multiply. So if we were making a forecast for sailboat sales in October, we would multiply that forecast by 0.5 and just take half that forecast because we know this is our off season. And so that's how you do seasonal indexes.